Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, ANITA FINLEY.
Well, we have someone so special that we're going to bring on in just a second. I have been wanting Harry GETZOV, a dear friend and a real talent, to be on my radio show, and I just got him. He's so busy, but I did get him. So good morning, Harry.
Good morning, Anita.
Oh, it's
this is the only way we'll get together.
I guess it's too bad, but I mean, when you talk, I know that you're right here in my studio, even though you're probably home in bed. Well, let me just say, Harry, you have made something that I would never have believed could have happened, and I think when my first guest came on, I always kind of go over all the guests who are going to be on for the morning, and I told people about you in a way that I wish you had heard, but it was someone who not only is entertaining the older adults in our senior communities, but doing it in a way that even young people would love and enjoy, because you are so talented and you have so much knowledge. And so I really do appreciate you. And I guess we ought to start off with why don't you share your last event with our audience, because then they would get a feeling of what you do.
Well, the last event, it's funny you should ask that one. I was up in Vero Beach, where I lived for about 3 or 4 years, and I did a presentation about the life of Billy Joel. And so this was on many levels very, very special because I just love Billy Joel. I mean, if I had to put the number one person on a list, the music that I admire, that's who it is. I mean, a little bit of background. I wrote books about senior citizens after being an entertainment lawyer for many, many years. Excuse me. And I ended up, going around the country, interviewing seniors, writing a book, Love Older Individuals. That's really the stress. That's what I'd like to stress this morning. That's the root of everything I do. So somehow I ended up, after years of going around the country and talking about these many interviews I did with older individuals, I found myself in senior communities talking about my interviews, and then they liked me. They kept asking me to come back, and I thought, oh, what am I going to talk about? And one day I found myself on a website. It was the Songwriters Hall of Fame, and there was a list of hundreds of different songwriters. And the light bulb went off. I'm going, okay, I could do a different writer. And it was the songwriters I really focused on, because my father was a songwriter who wrote for Johnny Ray and Keely Smith and Frank Sinatra. And that's what I started to do. I started to do these PowerPoints. You've seen it, so you know exactly. We'll talk about that in a second.
Right.
And I just, from soup to nuts, if I picked someone like Cole Porter, it's from the day Cole Porter was born until the day he passed away, everything about his life, sometimes very few Tin Pan, and I focused on Tin Pan Alley at first. And it always bothered me, I suppose, that most people know the people who sing the songs, and they know the songs, but very, very rarely do they know anything about the person who wrote the song. And that's what I do. So what's happened is, and this is funny, I'm smiling as I speak, as I started doing writer after writer, I started getting requests. And slowly but surely, it's become apparent that today's quote-unquote seniors, they want to hear about Billy Joel. They want to hear about Simon and Garfunkel and Neil Diamond and Carole King and Barry Manilow. There's a sort of a skewing of a younger audience, Crosby, Stills, and Nash. So I'm doing more and more of those now. And it's amazing. It started off with one community, and then two. I'm in 43 communities a month now.
I know. It's like
I know.
I never could have believed what you have created. And you do sometimes at 2:00, and then you do at 8:00 or 7:00. I mean, but I've attended some of them, and I understand why. I was just fascinated by the way that you're.
Who did you see? I can't remember.
I was the one. You did it on Fiddler on the Roof, and
the Fiddler on the Roof. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just did. And now here we go. You don't even know this. Sorry, I was in Boston, and because I'm from New England originally, so I was in Hingham and then Andover, and I in Hingham at a place called Linden Ponds. It's an Erickson senior community. 450 people come.
Oh, my God.
It was great. I was laughing. Friends of mine came and got some fried clams. No, I mean, but going back to what I started with, and this is how you and I met. You were at one of my first speeches, Anita.
Right.
At Boca, I was talking about my book. Going back to the root of it, when I look around the room and I see these people in the audience, 99% of them are, let's call them senior citizens. They're tapping their feet, they're smiling, they're mouthing the words, they're singing out loud. They come up to me when it's all over and they say, not only did we learn so much, but you don't realize. I mean, I got a letter from somebody the other day. She wrote me a beautiful card about what I bring. This happened to be in Morse Life. And I always tear up. I'm so grateful that this has unfolded the way it's unfolded.
Yes, I know you are. And when I was there watching you, I mean, I was enjoying it, but I was watching them enjoy this. And it's such a win-win. And I'm so glad that the communities now can appreciate what they want. And in fact, I have to laugh because I'm sure that, you're a little bit more, you're quite a bit more expensive than some of the entertainment they bring in. But if they dare to drop you, they will have a mob of seniors come on their doors and say, I'm moving if you do that.
Yeah. My brother and I joke what you just said. They go, you'll see like in the hallways, the residents with you remember the old movies like going through the caves with the fire and
right.
I mean, and here's one for you. I mean, I've always wanted to do this. I'm not embarrassed. I'm playfully saying that, but I've never been on a cruise before. Here I am, 61 years old, and I can't believe I'm 61. I'm moving closer to the age of all the people I've been writing about for years, and I've never been on a cruise. And then all of a sudden, now what's happening is cruise lines are approaching me and they want me to speak.
Oh, you didn't tell me this. This is new.
It just happened like days ago. Yeah.
Oh my heavens!
I can't wait. I'll do it. I'll give it a shot.
Oh, this is fabulous. But oh my heavens! So it would be a long cruise, or like a week?
11 days.
11 days.
5,
and would you have to do this every night? I mean, is that what they would say?
No. Just like 5 times or so, and whatever it is. You see, it's funny, and I know, have to. I mean, there's the whole. I remember I did a program years ago, like an S type of thing. This goes back years, and the languaging like have to versus get to, right? Right. Well,
yeah, I got that.
Do this.
I get to.
Thing.
Yes.
That's the thing.
Yes.
This is like paid volunteer work for me.
Yep.
I mean, that is the joy of being able to wake up. And I did something, this is timely because a couple of weeks ago it was Martin Luther King Day, and I was asked to do something for Martin Luther King Day, and so I put together a program. And I didn't just focus on his life, and I didn't know all that much. I knew mostly about his later life. And I went to Boston University undergrad. He went and did his doctorate there, and I remembered seeing all the paraphernalia there. But I focused on the march and the music of the march. Again, music, going back to the music. So I covered Odetta, and I covered Bob Dylan, and I covered the Freedom Singers and Joan Baez and Peter, Paul, and Mary. And I have to tell you, it was it was on the positive side. I was amazed at the response I got from people. Because it's more, I don't want to get into politics at all, although you and I love talking about politics.
Right.
I will tell you that this resonated because there was a line in the I Have a Dream speech where in one of the speeches he gave where he said, it is unwise for the people of this country to not take notice of the urgency of the moment. And so when I went through the hour presentation, you could see people were on the edges of their seats. It was really beautiful to watch.
So now if you go on a cruise, what's going to happen in those 11 days where everybody else feels neglected?
It'll be a good issue. It'll be I'm to the point now where I'm still a little protective of my time, but I have to turn down, offers that come in, because sometimes I just don't have the slots. I'm booked through the middle of next year already. So I know
Harry and Harry, when he decided he didn't want to be a lawyer anymore, he had to figure out what he wanted. And I know I met him, and he did this whole new thing called Eldercation, and he was onto something, but it really wasn't that yet. He wasn't as successful as he really should be, and he was, in a sense, looking for, okay, I want to make money, but how am I going to do what I love? And somehow because of all your experience, your family, music, it just happened. Because I remember sitting and talking to you, and you just didn't know how to make this into something. But boy, it just happened because you are very sincere. You're very honest about it. You're very talented, and it did come together. So I am thrilled for you. Just absolutely wonderful.
And thank you, Anita. And it's so funny. I had a conversation with a friend of mine yesterday. She lives in Big Sur in California. I should say the name of the first book I wrote is called Gold, and it's
I remember Gold, right? Yep.
It's the extraordinary side of aging revealed through inspiring conversations. So once again, it's going back. Not only do I get to speak to these audiences about Billy Joel, about Nat King Cole, about Doris Day, or the songwriters Lerner and Lowe and Rodgers and Hammerstein, but you know what I do. I show up early to set up my speaker or whatever I'm doing that day. And if there's a piano in the room, I play a little piano, and then I will talk with the people. And it's all part of the package. So I get to go back to that love of being able to interact and have real conversations with people. And then the speech, and a bunch of my Toastmasters friends when I lived in Vero Beach, that's really where I honed in on I wanted to learn how to be a better speaker. And about 5 or 6 of them, maybe more, came to hear me speak at Indian River Estates in Vero the other night. And one of my friends, Allura, came up to me after, and she said, Harry, I remembered this when we were together. I just sat through an hour. It wasn't like you were up there lecturing the people. You were having a conversation with the people. And I learned, too. It's funny. There's always somebody in the audience who knew, like a parent was best friends with Irving Berlin or something, It's just amazing. So, but it's always about the seniors for me.
Yeah.
And the
thing is that you do take a lot of time. I know that in preparation. This isn't like you just get up and make a nice little speech, because you do this with video. You do this, that's what keeps it so interesting. The music, and then people get to see what you're talking about.
Well, it's funny because I was editor-in-chief of my high school yearbook, and I'm going back and I'm pulling all these skills that I'm cropping photos, frames on them, and justifying the copy. And I'm working on Gene Kelly right now. So I know you'll have to come for that one.
You gonna tap dance a little?
I will not dance. Well, I can dance, but not.
You might find somebody in the audience who is a tapper.
No, they do. They do. Oh no, the other day I did a Fred Astaire. I did it's 2 parts. Some of the people are just so big. This year I'm going to do the Beatles. And that's the thing is I do it. Okay, so let me back up. I mean, it's teaching that is at the essence of it is the essence of what I do. And I didn't realize it, I suppose, when I was younger, but I do enjoy teaching a lot. And that's what I do. It's educational, it's a nice turn on the phrase eldercation. Isn't that funny? I did not really know what this was going to turn into. I did not know. I just sort of went with what I loved, and it just evolved the way it's evolved.
Things
people
like
out in the audience, they're listening, and they're going, wow, I'm a big believer in that when you really commit to something like I did, magic occurs, and that's kind of what's happening. I don't fear it ending. I'm enjoying it right now when it's happening.
Yeah, no, I think you'll be able to go on for a long time with this. And the one part I'll put my gerontology hat on is what you're giving people when you leave. You're giving them such joy and such smile and remembering. And so when you're finished, they've just started in a way. You've given them something to think about, to share the next day with their friends. you took them back a little bit. And so many of the people that live in these communities are very intelligent, well-educated, and they need someone like you. So that's why I love what you do.
Well, it works. I put together this because I love editing video. That's something that I didn't realize. It's one of the most relaxing things I do. I get lost in it sometimes. And I put together a little reel of, why do you enjoy these presentations that I do? And people would give me little snippets. I must have collected 300 of those little snippets.
Huh.
But the title of it, I'll have to show it to you when we do get together. And one of it is, the woman said, "It makes my brain tingle."
Oh, my goodness. Oh, that's
I love that.
fabulous.
I love that. That's
oh,
the
yes.
goal. It's just something that I've discovered, and it's always developing. I mean, what's happening now is the 55-plus communities are seeking me out. I'm doing a number of shows this week, actually, or 55-plus. So there I'm doing Bette Midler. There I'm doing Billy Joel. So it's different. And I want to learn more about the groups I grew up with, too. I mean, I knew them. When I get to the Beatles, I think my brain is going to explode because I won't know where to even start with that. So, but again, it's interesting. It's still there's more work to be done with senior citizens for me. I'm thinking about writing another book.
And it should be cause it makes my brain makes my brain tingle. That's a good name for a book, actually.
Of course. I know it is, but I get to see it, every day, and it's just interesting. It really is. I just find older people. It's not that I don't like younger people. I mean, I see all kinds of people when I go out into the world every day, but I don't know. Every once in a while, I will spend time with somebody in the audience, and they'll come up with me, and they'll always want to speak after while I'm packing up, and I'll look into their eyes, and I'll listen to a little bit about their life. They'll talk to me, and I could see they're excited. I mean, I could see that they're waiting. Many of these places I attend, every month. It's the same time slot every month. And they're saying, who are you doing next month? Who are you doing next month? So it really works in that way.
Yeah, it does. And I'm so happy. And of course, you had a great relationship with your mom and your brothers. And so this is all part of your life because they were in music. So this isn't far from the tree.
Yeah, it's whole family. My dad, I mentioned very briefly, my dad wrote Please Mr. Sun, which was a big, big hit. Some people in the audience may know that song. It was a big hit in 1951. And he wrote some other songs for Frank Sinatra. So I grew up with a father. In fact, when I do Billy Joel, I create, I don't know what you'd call them, a series name. It's part of the blah, blah, blah series. That series is called, quote, Rock Songs My Father Loved, end quote. Because my father, I remember when we listened to the Beatles the first time, 1964, we were on our parents'. I remember being on the carpet with the Zenith television with the little remote. And I remember my father telling my sister and me about how amazing these songwriters were. Lennon and McCartney at the time, probably Harrison too. And my father noticed, even back then, just how incredible the Beatles were. They weren't just writing 5 songs or 10 songs. They were writing hundreds of songs, each one of them different. So there is something to that as a pedigree. My father's on my shoulder. Every day I do this. But you know what? My mom, who, incidentally, I'll just tell you, Anita knows the whole story. My mom went home last night.
Did she really? Oh, wow.
And I don't mean that. Though. She went back to her place.
Right.
My mom had an unfortunate incident, and my mom helps me write these programs. But you know what she does? When I do a songwriter, and there'll be a song like, I don't know, the way you look tonight, she'll be the one that says, no, you need to find the Fred Astaire version of that.
Oh, really?
So she knows she helps me find, the best versions of each of the songs.
And my question is, so did your father actually make a living doing this? I mean, was he, where did that all come from?
Very interesting. Okay, we need 3 hours. Here's the thing. My father was very young in terms of Tin Pan Alley. He was at the end of that era that moved into, but what happened was when he was getting started, he had a big hit in 1951, and then Please Mr. Sun was redone by Tommy Edwards in 1958, some people will remember. that's when rock and roll was taking over. So when I talk about people like Johnny Mercer or Julie Stein, I have interviews with them, and you can almost see a little bit of bitterness when they do the interviews about how this new music was taking over. And they were resentful of the fact that publishers and record companies were not looking for their songs anymore. Mm. My father was in that era, and he knew that he could not really write rock and roll. So he ended up getting out. They lived in New York when my sister was born. When I was born, they moved up to Massachusetts, and they went into a family business at that point. Now, he still dabbled in it, and I still believe that was my father's very first love. And he wrote some amazing songs that actually haven't been published. I've been trying to place them with people for years, but that's a whole other conversation about the music business. It's tough. I just don't hear a lot of great melodies with lyrics combined like we used to. But yeah, that's what happened. That's what he made a very good living for a while, and he decided that he wanted to raise a family, and he knew that he wasn't going to have the stability in the music business, and he got out.
This must so now I understand why your mother must be so pleased where her almost senior son
yeah, exactly.
Right. Has taken over the family business in a way and making it so successful. Well, the thing that, and it's easy to say, why don't you get an assistant and they could do some of the shows when you're not available? There's no way. I mean, I don't see anyone being able to do what you do. No, really.
I've been approached. You want to know something? I've been approached by numerous people, but I know I want to keep this at the educational level, because that's really what it is. I do what I do. It's teaching, and it's classes. It really takes some, but it's not boring. I'd like to think I don't want people to think you're going to a college economics class and dozing off. Excuse me. But I should also mention my brother's a songwriter, and my sister studied music therapy, so it's very funny. Everybody in my family was music. Everybody, even my mother has a beautiful voice. So I think I'm okay. I don't need to make this into big, national, although I'm going to other places now. But selfishly, I go places where I love New England, so that's where I want to set up another. If there's anybody in the audience and wants a speaker near the Boston area, I'm your man.
Because you want to go there.
I miss it. I really do. I love going up there.
But now that we've been talking about this, I'm just thinking, Harry, so because you've done so much work and it's all there, maybe there would be someone else who also has great music education, ability, personality, loving the seniors, that you could have as a second person, which is your deal, but you hire them to do this. You have to maybe think about that, because you've done a lot of the work.
And I've been approached. Yeah, it is. I am thinking about it. Well,
okay.
You touched on something there that I think is also important. I know people do a similar thing that I do. And if someone were to come along, and I believe in the work I'm doing because I know that I'm bringing joy
right.
to people very often in these communities. So I don't view anybody really as competition. I know that I bring to it what I bring to it.
Exactly.
And somebody else could do the same thing. So, yeah, I could. That is something I have thought of. But we'll talk about it. You and I should talk about it.
Yeah, because maybe you have created a business, a company, so you don't have to always be the person there. It's your invention, and that other person may bring some glamour and some things that you don't bring.
Well, the programs are written. I've got 150
right.
of them.
I know, that's what I'm saying, that there may be something here, exactly, that because especially if you start going and doing on cruises, you do need someone back home doing it, or the other person could go on cruises. But, you think about it. You could have a few people doing this. So you then could have a little bit more money and know that you're spreading the joy, way past what you're capable of doing anymore.
Yeah, no, it's definitely an idea. I just mentioned, I mentioned Martin Luther King, and for some of the places, I want to make sure it was at the Carlisle, which is where you saw me that night.
Yes.
The activity director actually do like a history replay with Harry. So I developed a series where I talk about the Mercury 7 or if it's a men's club at Sinai Residences, I do a lot in Boca Raton. The greatest home runs ever hit, or I'm doing something on Vince Lombardi. Like, it's whatever I decide, I'd like to learn more about this. I end up doing a presentation about it.
Sure.
I think that's a line. A teacher friend of mine once told me, you teach what you want to learn.
Oh, that's
Have you ever
good.
heard that?
You know,
Have you ever heard that?
No, I haven't, but that's very true. But I just want to say something. I failed to tell people your name again. It's Harry GETZOV, GETZOV, Harry GETZOV, and you can see his website and see more about him. It's eldercation.com. And
it's
you
www.eldercation.com.
Exactly.
And you can always email me. There's an info. You can always email me. And I'd love to speak to somebody if they're interested in what I do.
Yeah. So we should also, your book is still available. You know, do you ever try to bring your book to any of these performances?
That's what I started to say before. So here's the thing. Yeah, the book is called Gold, The Extraordinary Side of Aging Revealed Through Inspiring Conversations. It's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, whatever. But you know what? I don't. And my friend says, you're being foolish. I go, no, I don't think I am, and I'll tell you why. I don't. You know, older people in a lot of these organizations and communities I go, they've been sold their whole life. I'm not selling any, like that's where I think they really enjoy what I do. I'm not trying to push. A lot of my friends who are in the businesses around here, they say, oh, can you get me into this place? And I go, well, and they say, well, I'm not trying to sell anything. It's educational. I go, well, if you're an attorney or if you're selling long-term care insurance, in the end of it, it's a pretext. You are trying to sell them, and I don't do that. You know, I did. You know,
no, I remember. I know
the videos.
what we did. Yeah, and I understand a lot of it.
Me,
right.
If they ask me, then I'll come. They have been asking me more about the book now.
Sure.
And if I do, I'll bring some books with me.
Yeah, you never know, right? Well, Harry, we've run out of time, and I have to tell you, I loved having you, and now I'll have to just see you personally. But congratulations for the cruises, and definitely look forward to talking to you again.
Anita, thank you so much. I miss you. I do.
Yeah,
know that.
Well, let's just get together. Thank you, Harry. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Bye.